Hello everybody, my name is Rolo and today we're reading some more Reddit stories. So if that's your cup of tea, please do like and subscribe and let's get into today's stories. Today's first story comes from user EasyZookeeperGame988 with the title, I, 32 female, snooped on my husband's, 33 male, phone and found out he is bi. We have been married for 5 years. My husband has different message tones for all his closest friends. Over the last weeks, he has been texting a female friend. I think he got a text from her through the day, and it was way above the normal amount that I noticed. He has also been very protective of his phone. He always used to leave it unlocked, would lend it to me if I wanted to do a quick search, but now he is always with his phone. He never leaves it unlocked and he always takes it with him wherever he goes. He had told me that at the start of their friendship, 12 years ago, he had feelings for her, but it was fleeting and they have a really strong friendship. I was feeling jealous and betrayed. I have been cheated on before and I still am a bit insecure about this. 2 days ago, he had left his phone unlocked. I opened his messenger and the last message was, I am good at hiding it. I should have just left the phone at the table and minded my own business, but that text confirmed all my fears and I couldn't stop myself from opening it to read everything else. I regret it. He wanted to come out but was scared. He was scared of my reaction. He was scared that I would not find him attractive anymore and that we would have to get a divorce. He thought it was not worth coming out. I came to my senses and I left his phone back on the table. My head is spinning a little. What do I do now? Should I tell him that I know and that it's okay? I feel terrible for hiding things from him. I want to apologize to him for snooping on his phone. I also feel a bit sad that he was more comfortable trusting her than trusting me, which is not very mature on my part. Would it be better if I tell him? I want to do what would make him happy, but I can't just ask him about that. TLDR, I thought my husband was cheating. He was not. He is bi and wanted to stay in the closet, but now I know, and I'm freaking out on how to deal with this. So unfortunately, OP let the insecurity, their past trauma of cheating get the best of them, and they snooped. Which, they had suspicions, so you can't really expect that they're going to ignore their natural instinct to just check, to know, to find out. Especially when they've been through it in the past. And OP's husband's, actions during that time were also very suspicious to them. So I can understand why they did that. But as for whether you should tell him or not, I don't think it's a good idea. He doesn't want you to know. He's very clearly insecure about this about himself, and I think you should just give him time. Maybe over a set amount of time you could bring up that you support gay people or bi people or something like that. Show that you still love him, you still support him, and maybe eventually he'll be comfortable enough to come out of the closet or let you know by himself. But as for talking to him, that's basically forcing him out of the closet, which you kind of already did by reading those texts, unfortunately. But let's check what the top comment for that first post has to say. Mother of Grendel says, it seems that most people are saying you should tell him, but I'm in the other camp. He needs to come out and share this information on his own timeline. Forcing him before he is ready can be really, really damaging. You can help him by having conversations or dropping hints that aren't specifically about him that indicate you are okay with this development in your relationship. But let him broach the subject when he is ready. The only particularly concerning thing here is that he felt that he could confide in his friend before you, but that doesn't seem too worrisome to me. I would probably confide in a friend before telling my partner something like this if I knew there could be negative outcomes from this decision. She is being his sounding board while he works it out. And it might hurt that he didn't come to you, but he also has a lot more to risk by discussing this with you. At some point, you guys will need to talk about it, and you will need to reassure and remind him that you are his wife, and should be the person he talks to first. But considering the specific nature of this, it doesn't seem unreasonable that he would seek out an outside voice. Telling him that you snooped forces the conversation to occur, which he might not be ready to have. If it were me, I would be more angry about that than just the fact that you snooped in the first place. Just something to consider. Best of luck. Now let's move on to the update, which came 17 days later. I did not expect so many responses, and I was a bit confused on what to do, but I guess most people in the community were telling me to give him space to process it himself and come out on his own terms. I took the advice to be generally supportive of the LGBTQA community without being obvious about it. I also spent some time reading about bisexuality. I did post a story on June the 1st, but the best thing that happened was that his friend came out as bi herself. We follow each other on Instagram. She had made a post about it. I made a comment congratulating her and wishing her well. She did text me about the dinner, and while we were chatting, she thanked me for my support, and this wonderful woman gave me another opportunity to express my support and do it in a more personal way than a comment. He came out to me about a week ago. He was very nervous and still scared, and all I wanted to do was tell him that I knew, but from what I have read, letting people do it on their own terms was really important. He told me nothing would change. He just wanted me to know, and he didn't want to hide a part of himself. It was okay. I told him nothing had to change. He was the perfect man for me, and I loved him no matter what. He did ask me later if I knew, and I came clean. I told him I saw, apologized for it, and I cried a lot. He was upset but understanding. He even apologized for suddenly changing his behavior, which is bullshit, as I should have dealt with it a lot more maturely. It hit just the right spot of insecurity for me. Things are fine. He is happier, and we are getting back to our old routines. TLDR, he came out. I confessed to snooping, and things are okay. This is the best update that we could have expected, really, from OP. They did exactly what I would have hoped, and exactly what the top commenter recommended. Just don't let him know, let him do it on his own timeline, but show that your love doesn't change despite knowing this. Show him that you do support him no matter what. And that's what they did, and it turned out well. Who would have knew? Of course, it's good that she still admitted to snooping, and it seems like her husband has forgiven her for that, and maybe he even appreciates that despite knowing, she still gave him that time to come out on his own terms. I'm really happy with this update. Good for you, OP. I really am so happy this turned out well for you, and I'm glad that you took the advice. Okay, let's move on to some comments now. A deleted commenter says, straight spouse with a bi husband here as well. Glad you had such a good resolution. I completely understand why you feel or felt insecure, but at the end of the day, it's about trusting your partner in the same way that you would if they were straight. Hobgobbler says, I am a bisexual woman married to a bisexual man. We are completely monogamous and love each other fully. This is still the same man you have loved and trusted all these years. Ocean Duciel says, it's really refreshing to get a bisexuality post without any cheating. Don't get enough of those on Reddit. To which Kitty Calista says, for once, I'm happy to have been bait and switched. Milk Dimension just says, happy Pride, folks. Pepperoni Poodle says, I love this. She wasn't at all worried about him being bi. Once her cheating fears were laid to rest, that was it. Then she just felt guilty for snooping and worried about how to let him come out. It reminds me of Patrick's parents on Schitt's Creek. And then they talked and everything was great. It's a happy best of Reddit updates. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave that story. Please do comment down below your thoughts and opinions. Maybe something you could have done differently or you think OP should have done to make the situation better. Let me know in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from a throwaway account titled, My 20 female friend, 20 female, tried to hook up with my boyfriend, 22 male, a few weeks ago. and he didn't tell me about it. A friend of mine tried to hook up with my boyfriend. He turned her down, but I'm sussed out by the fact that he didn't tell me. I only found out from my boyfriend's friend who was there when it happened. He thought that my boyfriend already told me about it since it was her who hit on him and he turned her down, and there was no reason to hide it. I confronted my boyfriend about it later, and he said he didn't want to ruin our friendship and that he told her if she doesn't stop being weird, he'll tell me. He says he wanted to give her a shot at saving the friendship. I already decided that I'm done being friends with her because I don't want friends who would do something like that. Besides, I've always thought she had a thing for him anyway. She thinks that just because they met first, that means she's entitled to him or something. I don't need that kind of BS in my life. So if he had told me, I would have cut her off immediately, which is what I did when I found out. The problem for me right now is that it's weird that he didn't tell me about it. I understand that it must have been an awkward spot for him, but you'd think he'd want to tell me immediately to avoid a misunderstanding. Besides, it's weird that he cares more about potentially saving my friendship with her than he does making sure he doesn't come off as a cheater. My friends think he hid it from me because he was interested, but I don't think he's that kind of guy. Granted, we've only been dating for 4 months, and I still don't know him that well, so anything is possible. What do you guys think? Is it a red flag that he didn't tell me? TLDR, my boyfriend didn't tell me about one of my friends hitting on him. He turned her down, but I'm still worried about the fact he didn't tell me. For me, I find OP's reaction to this a little bit weird. Like maybe her boyfriend just assumed that she's closer to this girl than she actually was. So of course he would be concerned about ruining their friendship. They've only been dating for 4 months. So why blow up a friendship when, you're not even certain you're going to stay together in the long term at 4 months? It's just very nuclear, very over the top in my opinion. In some ways I get why this could be seen as a red flag, but at the same time, he turned her down, he didn't cheat, nothing actually happened, so maybe mention it offhand, oh by the way, so and so, or somebody, if he doesn't want to mention names, tried to make a move on me and blah blah blah. But overall I don't think that this is something that needed to be mentioned or needed this reaction from OP. I don't know though, maybe that's a really controversial opinion. Let's read some comments and find out then. PD person quotes a section that says, "Besides, it's weird that he cares more about potentially saving my friendship with her than he does making sure he doesn't come off as a cheater." And responds to it saying, "It's actually not at all weird that someone who isn't a cheater isn't concerned about coming off as a cheater." From State Farm says, "If you aren't at least aware of what others might perceive your actions as, you are going to have a lot of trouble in your life. I love my significant other, and so I try to be aware of what he will perceive my actions as. I would not want my significant other to think I have a thing for his friend because I never told him about a perceivably intimate instance that was shared with said friend." Okay, so 2 very opposite opinions there, but let's jump into the update and see what happened. The update came 2 days later. So I told my boyfriend that I understand why he did it and that I get that he wanted to avoid hurting me, but that he doesn't get to make that choice for me. He said he understands that he should have just told me, but that he had kind of hoped that she was just having a weird moment and that it wouldn't happen again, and we'd avoid the entire thing completely. I told him that from now on, I want him to be upfront with me about this kind of thing. I told him that if he was worried about if I'm going to believe him over my friend or not, he shouldn't be, because I honestly suspected that she was into him anyway. I would have definitely believed him. Anyway, I feel like he totally understood where I'm coming from. If anything, this whole thing kinda made us just be on the same page about this type of stuff. I want to thank everyone for the advice because I was honestly getting paranoid, because I've been cheated on before and my friends are kind of cynical, so they expect the worst, which made me do the same. Ironically, because of this whole thing and the talk we had after, I feel like I can trust him more. For now, I'm gonna try to stop assuming the worst. Thanks to everyone who chipped in. TLDR, my boyfriend and I had a talk about what happened. He explained to me his point of view, and I explained to him mine. He understood why I was upset, and I feel like we really got on the same page. So everything worked out for the best. Well, look at that. Communication solved the problem in the end. I'm glad that OP and her boyfriend were able to figure this out, but it was a weird situation in the first place, so yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen to them again. Let's see what the comments think. Dandelion says, "It sounds like this might be the first relationship you've been in where you can talk about a problem you're having with your significant other and have them actually care about how you're feeling or want to resolve the problem. If so, I totally understand why this was such a novel relationship experience for you. I'm glad you guys were able to resolve this and come out stronger on the other side." To which OP quotes, "It sounds like this might be the first relationship you've been in where you can talk about the problem you're having with your significant other and have them actually care about how you're feeling or how you want to resolve the problem," and says, "It's definitely the first time I've had a guy be so understanding and actually acknowledge how I'm feeling." And Dandelion's response to that saying, "That's one of the essential traits for a partner to have in order to build a great relationship together." Sounds like he also has enough emotional maturity to not get defensive about how you took his actions versus why he did them. Both seem like nice green flags in my opinion. Smart Quokka says, "I can understand that he may also have been concerned that OP will not believe him and turn on him." What do you guys make of this situation? I mean, I feel like it was blown up bigger than it needed to be, but do you have a different opinion? How would you have reacted in this situation? Comment down below and let me know, and I'll leave it here for today. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and bye bye!